Before the gods claimed Olympus, before heroes drew their swords, the Greeks feared something older. Not the divine, but the monstrous. Beings carved from chaos itself, creatures so terrible that sculptors locked them in marble, hoping stone would contain what nature could not. Tonight we descend into the darkened halls of ancient sculpture, and by the end, you will meet the monster that even gods refuse to name. The ancient Greeks understood something we have forgotten. Monsters are not born evil. They are made, cursed, transformed by anger, by jealousy, by the whims of the divine. From the depths of the underworld to the edges of the known world, they carved every abomination, every hybrid, every creature of teeth and shadow in perfect, cold marble. Tonight we catalog them all. Stay until the end. We begin where every monster begins, with the Titans. Typhon was his name, the father of all monsters, the creature so vast and terrible that even Zeus trembled at the sight of him. Sculptors carved him as pure chaos, 100 serpent heads erupting from a human torso, each mouth open to scream. He was the storm given flesh. He was the earthquake. He was vengeance incarnate. But Typhon had children, terrible, legendary children. From the union of Typhon and Echidna came the creatures that would haunt Greek nightmares for centuries, each one carved with meticulous horror, each one a masterpiece of fear. The sculptors knew, to render a monster perfectly was to understand the deepest human terror, and so they began their dark catalog with precision and reverence. First among them, Cerberus, the three-headed hound of Hades himself. In marble the sculptors showed him as pure hunger, 3 dog heads snarling from one muscled body, chains coiled around his neck forged from stone. He was the guard of the underworld, the keeper of the dead. No living soul could pass his jaws. No escape existed for those who fell into his domain. Death had teeth. Yet Cerberus had a weakness, and the sculptors knew it. Love could soothe him. Music could calm his fury. Even monsters carved in eternal stone held some spark of feeling within. When Orpheus descended to the underworld with his lyre, even Cerberus wept. The marble shows this contradiction, a beast of pure malice, yet capable of being moved. This is what made the Greeks understand that monstrosity and mercy are not opposites. Next came the Chimera, part lion, part goat, part serpent, a creature so hybrid, so unnatural that her very existence seemed to mock the natural world. The sculptors rendered her in marble as a nightmare made manifest. A lion's body, a goat's head erupting from her spine, a serpent tail dripping venom. She breathed fire. She flew. She was every animal's fury combined into one unstoppable form. But nature abhors the hybrid. The chimera could not breed. She could not build. She could only destroy. And destruction, the ancients knew, always ends in death. When Bellerophon rode against her on his winged horse Pegasus, the marble shows the moment of her doom, not with triumph but with a kind of sad inevitability. Even monsters carved in stone cannot escape their nature. Even eternal sculpture crumbles. We move deeper into the pantheon of terror. The Minotaur awaits, half man, half bull, born from a curse so dark that the Athenians would not speak its true origin. A queen's forbidden love, a beast from the sea, and a monster locked in an endless labyrinth fed tributes of human flesh. The sculptors carved him with terrible ambivalence, muscular, almost noble, yet utterly wrong. Human above, animal below. The labyrinth itself was a work of art, designed by Daedalus, the greatest craftsman of the age. It was a prison more perfect than any dungeon. Its passages spiraled endlessly inward, each turn identical to the last. A man could wander for days and find no exit. And in the center waited the Minotaur, pacing in darkness, neither fully man nor beast, trapped by birth, cursed by existence. Then came Theseus, the hero with a ball of thread. Into the darkness he walked, unwinding white thread as he advanced deeper and deeper into spiral passages. And when he found the Minotaur in its lair, he did not offer mercy. He offered only death. The marble shows the moment of their encounter, strength meeting strength, human cunning overcoming animal rage. The labyrinth, after all, had an exit. The monster had never escaped, but the Minotaur was not alone in his exile. His sister Ariadne gave Theseus the thread. His sister Phaedra would later carry the hero's curse. Even monsters are bound to family. Even in the darkest tombs of marble, the sculptors remembered, kinship is inescapable. The Minotaur's tragedy was not only that he was a monster, it was that he was also, forever, loved and abandoned. We ascend now from the depths of labyrinths to the edges of the known world. Here dwelled the Cyclops, giants with a single massive eye burning in the center of their foreheads. Polyphemus was the most famous, a creature of such size that men seemed like insects before him. The sculptors carved him in a scale that forced the viewer to crane their neck upward, monumental, almost divine in proportion, yet utterly bestial. Polyphemus guarded his flocks in a cave on an island far from civilization. And when Odysseus arrived with his crew, seeking shelter and supplies, the Cyclops responded with hunger, raw human flesh. Companions devoured before Odysseus's own eyes, their screams echoing off stone walls. The marble shows this violence not with gratuitous detail but with the weight of inevitability. Some monsters eat. That is their only nature. Yet even Polyphemus had a weakness, vanity. Odysseus told him his name was nobody. When the hero sharpened a wooden stake and drove it into the Cyclops' single eye, the giant cried out, "Nobody is hurting me." The villagers heard his screams and left him alone. Blinded, alone in darkness, Polyphemus learned what the Greeks understood perfectly. Pride and monstrosity go hand in hand. One always destroys the other. But we have not yet reached the most famous of all monsters, the creature whose name alone could silence a room, Medusa. Her story is told wrong by most. She was not born a monster. She was transformed. Beautiful once, a priestess of Athena with hair like spun gold, but she was ravished in the goddess's own temple, and Athena, in her rage, punished not the rapist but the victim. The transformation was absolute and cruel. Her golden hair became a nest of serpents, each one alive, each one hissing and striking. Her eyes, once beautiful, became a weapon. To look upon her was to turn to stone. The sculptors showed this duality with terrible precision. A woman's face contorted with pain and rage, serpents coiling from her scalp, power and suffering carved equally into marble. Medusa was a masterpiece of injustice. Medusa was imprisoned in a temple hidden from the world. And though she was a monster, she became pregnant. 2 children grew within her, Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, the golden warrior. Even monsters, the Greeks understood, could bear beauty. Even the cursed could create grace. Medusa was not simply evil. She was tragedy carved in stone. Then came Perseus, bearing his polished shield as a mirror. He did not need to look upon Medusa directly. He watched her reflection instead. Carefully, heroically, he approached. And when he severed her head from her body, the sculptors showed not triumph but a kind of hollow victory. The marble depicts his face with doubt. Did he slay a monster or did he murder a victim? In Greek art, the line between the two was never clear. After death, Medusa's power did not diminish. Heroes still sought her severed head as a talisman. Athena placed it upon her own aegis, her protective cloak, where it continued to turn men to stone. Even in death, even as a trophy, Medusa remained a weapon. The sculptors understood this perfectly. True monsters are not those we kill, but those whose power survives destruction. We turn now to creatures of pure appetite. The Hydra, Heracles' second labor. This monster had 9 heads, and for each one that was severed, 2 more grew back. It was a creature of multiplication, of endless horror. The sculptors carved it writhing, each serpent head straining against the others, a nightmare of biology that defied nature. To fight the Hydra was not to win through strength, but through understanding. Heracles discovered the secret, fire. By burning each neck stump before new heads could regenerate, he was able to defeat the immortal beast. And thus the ancients learned a crucial truth about monstrosity. It often has a solution hidden in plain sight. But you must study the monster carefully. You must understand not its strength, but its mechanism. Even chaos has rules carved into it. We come now to creatures of the sea. The Gorgons were 3 sisters Medusa we have met, but Estheno and Uriel were immortal and equally terrible. The sculptors carved them beneath arches suggesting ocean depths, their hair writhing with serpents, their bodies half human, half aquatic. They dwelled beyond the reach of heroes, in waters that no mortal ship could navigate. Some monsters are simply unreachable. Other sea monsters haunted Greek imagination. Scylla, a creature with 6 heads, each one a mouth filled with teeth that could devour entire ships. She was trapped in a narrow strait, unable to move, forced to feed on whatever came within reach. The marble shows her in a kind of eternal hunger, head snapping at invisible prey, muscles straining against her own immobility. Even monsters can be imprisoned by circumstance. And beside Scylla, across those same waters dwelled Charybdis, a creature that was less monster and more force of nature. A whirlpool that could swallow entire ships, she represented the chaos of the sea itself. The sculptors struggled to render her in marble. How do you carve chaos, a void, and absence? And yet they succeeded, showing her as a spiral, a descent, a mouth of darkness that pulled all things toward oblivion. But perhaps the most terrible monsters were not beasts at all. The Furies, also called Erinyes, were goddesses of vengeance, born from the blood of the castrated Uranus. They had human faces, but wings of bats and serpents coiled around their wrists. They pursued those guilty of murder, especially kinslaying. The sculptors carved them in marble as beautiful and terrible simultaneously, divine and demonic. The Furies pursued Orestes for his mother's murder. They drove him to madness across the world, relentless and invisible. No weapon could harm them, no wall could contain them. The marble shows their relentless motion, their wings spread wide, their eyes burning with divine purpose. Some monsters the Greeks understood are not evil. They are justice itself, terrible, inevitable, and merciless. We approach the final chamber now, the deepest darkness. And here, locked in the lowest reaches of Tartarus itself, dwells the creature that even Zeus feared to name. The being whose very existence was a cosmic mistake. The monster whose awakening would mean the end of the world. The sculpture stands alone, apart from all others. And finally, after all these figures, we can reveal its true name. Kronos, the Titan king himself, father of the Olympians, the oldest monster in all creation. He was not born evil, he was simply powerful beyond comprehension. And his own children feared him enough to overthrow him, to bind him in chains, to lock him away forever. The marble depicts him not as a beast, but as something almost human, muscular, regal, terrifying in his nobility. This is the truth the Greeks knew. The greatest monsters are often the most godlike. These are the monsters of Greek mythology, carved in marble by artists who understood that monstrosity is not always born but often made. Medusa was cursed. The Minotaur was imprisoned. Even Kronos was a god before he became a warning. The Greeks knew every monster is a story, and every story rightly told is a mirror. Which monster do you see reflected? Tell me below, and subscribe to walk the next hall of gods in stone.